Good morning, all. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hi, can you all hear me? Just a quick warm of welcome. I'd just like to let you know that the live streaming has begun. So you are being streamed all over the world. There are people watching already. So don't scratch your noses because everyone will be able to see. But before we start the formal proceedings, a short video of Tony. Video. It says it all about Tony, and especially the song that he loved so much. There's words in there that we can all take and carry forward. Before I get into the formal proceedings, I'd just like to mention a special word of thanks to all those who have assisted Tony's children, Jackie, Garth, myself, over these very difficult days. Eldon and the team at Stones, who've been massively supportive with all the help. Shana, Royden and Tate for taking care of Tony in his last moments. Marcus and Dorianne for being with him at the hospital when Jackie and I could not get there in time. Debbie, my daughter in Johannesburg, who got her paramedic team to the hospital to try and ascertain the exact situation of Tony and explaining the actual prognosis, because we got nothing out of Freya Hospital. To Dave van Rensburg for all your help in providing labourers for Jackie and I to remove all the items from Tony's house. To Monica for helping clean and pack up boxes. To Dorianne for cooking for us, no matter how busy she was at work. Her biggest concern was for Jackie and I. Anne and Jenna for taking care of Tony's beloved dogs. Sorry. To all those who've travelled from afar, Garth and family from Dublin, Jackie from Australia, my cousins Charmaine and Gavin from Colesberg, my cousin Wayne from Cape Town, Dylan Murenberg, Garth's best friend from Cape Town. All the messages and phone calls, thank you. We are truly blessed knowing that Tony was so loved. And now, Jackie, do you want me to do this? A little bit about Garth and Jackie's dad. Today we honour Tony, a man who lived life with more enthusiasm, more adventure, and slightly fewer fingers and toes than the rest of us. Let's start with the basics. Tony came equipped with 7 fingers, 9 toes, 1 kidney, and 3 hearts. The kidney and the digits were negotiable, but those hearts were unmistakable. 1 for family, 1 for friends, and 1 for every human or animal he decided to adopt along the way. Tony was mischievous from the beginning. The kind of kid who didn't find trouble, he handcrafted it. In high school, he stole gunpowder from the lab to make a bomb, clamped it in a vise, and hit it with a hammer, as one does. The bomb went off in my grandparents' garage between their cars and took off 3 of his fingers. Naturally, his parents were thrilled, of course, and so was I, because it was 3 weeks before my wedding. Later at Tech, he managed to break his leg. Most people would rest. Tony simply cut off the plaster cast because he had a scuba diving trip planned with his friends. Priorities. But behind the chaos was the most generous and caring man you could ever meet. Tony would go out of his way for anyone, friend, neighbor, stranger, dog, cat, probably the odd bushbuck too. He was a problem solver by nature. Give him a challenge, a broken gadget, a crisis, or a piece of machinery older than your grandmother, and he'd fix it. And if he couldn't fix it, then trust me, and forgive me now, it was truly, honestly fucked. Nature was his happy place. That's why we chose this venue, because of the bush, the river, etc. The bush, the birds, the strip, the quiet. He loved without judgment. That's why his beloved Malamute is named Judge, because Tony didn't do the judging himself. He had a laugh you could hear from across the yard, loud, infectious, the type that made you laugh even if the joke was terrible. And many were. But he laughed at them and with you until everyone was in stitches. He found joy in making other people happy. He bought a beach buggy for the kids and grandkids and even tied a chair to the back of a ride-on lawnmower just so more than one person could enjoy a wild ride at a time. Tony never did anything halfway, especially when it came to fun. He was an incredible father, brother, grandfather, and friend. A man who lived boldly, loved deeply, laughed loudly, and cared fiercely. A man impossible to forget. Tony might have left this world with fewer limbs than he started with, but he left far more love, laughter, and unforgettable stories than most people could ever dream of. And that's the legacy he leaves with us today. Jackie and Garth. And now we are going to carry on with stories of Tony. These are stories from a few individuals, and it's their story of their time during the life of Tony. First of all, I'd like to call on Tate Hart.
Hello everyone, my name is Tate. Tony was my grandfather. Tony was a good man, dad, grandfather, and uncle. He was always willing to lend a helping hand to person or animal. Tony taught me a life lesson, and one life lesson that stood out to me the most out of all of them was to be a man. We loved watching Mr. Bean together, and we could hear the sound of his laugh, his infectious laugh, every time Mr. Bean came on. Our favorite movie was Johnny English. Tony taught me how to operate an excavator about 2 years ago. With that skill, we tried to rebuild the dam that he had at the old house, but that didn't work out. He taught me how to drive a ride-on to help him cut the grass. But Tony was very fussy how you must cut the grass. Every time you did one thing wrong with cutting the grass, he would always go mad. It had to be perfect. Shooting pellet guns. Just the other day, Tony taught me how to shoot a pellet gun. Shooting pellet guns with Tony has probably been the favorite thing that I've done with him so far. At night in the old house, me and Tony would sit on the deck and look for the satellites and stars for about 30 minutes before we went to bed. But my granny always used to chase us inside very early, because she wanted us always to go back to bed. There was this one time where I got a new drone. With myself and Keegan, decided we are going to go to Tony's place and fly it. But keep in mind it was a very windy day. But Tony warned us if we flew it, it would most likely fly away. So, as me and Keegan didn't listen, we tried to fly it. I flew it straight up, and the wind blew it into the bush. Then I went inside, and I told Tony, and of course, he laughed. And he made up a joke, and he said, "Go look for the lights in the bush at night." We also loved our beach buggy trips down to the beach. One day we actually got our beach buggy stuck. One of the best things that Tony did was making jungle oats on the weekend. He would make it with so much love and perfection. When the oats were cooking, he would always sing a song. May Tony's adventurous soul rest in peace, and I will love you forever. Thank you.
And now, one of Tony's daughters, Shayna.
Morning. Okay. Today we want to celebrate a man who didn't just come into our lives. He came in laughing loudly with his whole face and with his whole mouth and his whole soul. The first day I met him, I was 11 years old. We went to Cafe Bella coffee shop in Beacon Bay. He ordered a lime milkshake, and I remember thinking, lime? Who orders lime? It's normally vanilla or chocolate. But not him. He never had the obvious choice. He was always a little quirky, surprising, and always leaving an impression. He looked at me with those dark yet bright blue eyes, and I remember blurting out, "Wow, you have such blue eyes." The kind of eyes that made you feel safe, seen, and completely unjudged. He didn't arrive in our lives as a father figure. Slowly, he just was. The jokes started immediately, welcoming us into his home, living in a house full of girls, bearing in mind that all the animals at the time were also girls. He loved teasing that when he went grocery shopping, he needed an extra trolley just to fit all the pads and tampons in. And he'd shake his head, and he'd make a joke, and he said he needed to go to the pharmacy to get the anti-bitchy tablets, just to survive all of us. He said it with so much love, humor, and a little grin. On Fridays and Saturdays, he would wake up, he would walk around loud and proud, saying, "It's weekend, baby." Music pumping, life flowing, and just a way of just making us all just feel alive. Most Saturday mornings, when we would head out for breakfast and the waiter asked, "How would you like your eggs?" he would always keep a straight face and say, "Cooked." There would always be a moment of silence as the waiter looked confused before he burst out laughing. He just had this way of making the smallest things entertaining. When we did grocery shopping, he would always let me pick my own 2-liter cool drink just for myself to overindulge in for the weekend. It was something so small, but something that always just made me feel so special. He was also the man that gave us driving lessons wearing a helmet. I'm not exaggerating, a real helmet. He would sit calmly in the passenger seat as if that was the most perfectly reasonable thing to do. That was his humor. He was completely deadpan, yet absolutely hilarious. And then there was his cooking, the unforgettable green peas with green jelly. Nobody knows why, and no one understands it to this day, but we remember it. He would always say, "My China, my stomach doesn't have eyes." And my response was always, "But Tony, mine does." And I found myself a few years later saying that to my son Tate. And he also responded to me just as cheeky, and he said, "But Mom, my eyes do. My stomach does." We can't forget his famous crushed pineapple dessert. Gelatine measured perfectly, pineapple pieces cut just right, with the cream folded very carefully. It wasn't just a dessert we absolutely drooled over. It was also just another act of his love. Food in every form was something he truly appreciated. When he ate, he didn't just take a bite, he experienced it. He would close his eyes and make noises with every mouthful and enjoyed it like it was the best thing he ever tasted and that it might just be the last. He was always thankful for the hands that made the food, always grateful and always present. Watching him eat made even the simplest meals feel very special. Sorry, can I still this tissue? That was just another way he recognized, loved, and returned it. Sorry, I can't see over these drops. Then came the lessons, the subtle ones that stuck with me. When I started secretly experimenting with cigarettes, very purely because clearly I was terrible at hiding it, he didn't shout at me or shame me. He simply pulled me aside and said, "At least throw your stumpies away." That was him. He was gentle, level-headed, always teaching and never breaking a child's spirit. When I wanted my first pair of Nikes at the age of 12, he didn't just hand me money. He gave me work in his factory, wiring plugs for the fridges, and he let me earn those tackies myself. He also passed his creativity onto the kids. He let the grandkids ride on his ride-on mower, and if they thought about whose turn it was, he would simply tie a plastic chair to the back to make another seat. Very unsafe, but brilliant and hilarious and just so him. He built ramps for bikes, helped with school projects, played like a child, laughed like a child, and yet he carried the heart and responsibility of a man you could always rely on. He helped constantly at our houses, mounting things, fixing things, hanging curtain rods, portraits, mirrors. Even when he was clearly struggling or getting a little bit frustrated with us women who were always indecisive of where things needed to go, he still pushed through because that's who he was. His dancing, if you hadn't seen it, you missed history. If reggae came on, he didn't dance with his whole body. The shoulders did all the heavy lifting and took over completely. They would immediately start popping. I can literally see it. They would start popping and bouncing to the beat. He'd click his finger, this hand, and make all these ooh sounds. His hips, on the other hand, stayed mostly still, stiff, and a little bit confused. He loved music. He felt the music. But honestly, his shoulders felt it most. It was hysterical, but he didn't care. He had the sense of humor of a child, and I mean that as the highest compliment. He laughed at Mr. Bean like he had never seen anything funny in his life, like truly laughed, that shoulder-shaking, full-body, childlike laughter, the kind you can hear from down the passage. And Ice Age, especially Scrat, chasing that acorn, that was his peak entertainment. He would laugh so hard that you personally think he knew the bloody squirrel. He was joyful, playful, and not self-conscious for a second. He was absolutely committed to enjoying the moment he was in. Even if something was only mildly funny, he made it hilarious just by reacting to it. His joy made everything better. That was his real gift. He didn't just watch funny moments, he performed them with his reactions. He could turn anything ridiculous into shared entertainment. And then look at the photos we have of him here today. His head is back, mouth wide open, eyes crinkled. That wasn't a pose, that was him, naturally, every day. He loved deeply and even quietly. When he would come back home from a night out, some may argue it was maybe too much straw rum, but he would sit next to my bed, thinking I'm asleep, stroke my face or my arm, and call me his precious lamb, and those nights stayed with me. He always greeted us with wide open arms and gave us the best, most warm, loving hugs. He really was the one to pull back first. He would always he hugged every time as if it would be the last. And then there's a story that sums him up more than any other. Just a few weeks before my wedding, he had a terrible accident while cutting down trees and ended up losing his big toe. Anyone else would have used that incident as a reason to sit out, but no, not him. In all the pain he was in, he still forced a shoe on and limped me proudly down the aisle. He spent the entire night being the MC, smiling, joking, controlling the mic, keeping everyone entertained, and still managed to share a dance with me. Toe or no toe, pain or no pain. That was him. He showed up in the hardest moments, not just the easy ones. He pushed through discomforts so others didn't feel it. He never let pain, whether it be physical or emotionally, stop him from loving fully. I look back at his photos, which tells a whole story on its own. There's this mischief in his eyes, that little spark that said he was always halfway between being serious and about to crack a joke. His face shows kindness, a deep softness, and a humor that didn't need big fancy moments. He was level-headed, slow to anger, incredibly intelligent. He worked hard, thought outside the box, built things, fixed things, laughed loudly, loved deeply, and gave more than he ever asked for. We will always feel that we never gave back nearly as much as he gave us, but maybe that's a sign of a good man. He gave without keeping score. He loved without conditions. He made ordinary things meaningful. He made silly things unforgettable. And he made family out of us who weren't born his. And that's how I'll always remember him. He was an amazing grandfather, my friend, and the best father I didn't know that I needed. I know he would want us to keep going, keep living, and to laugh at the small things, the way he taught us, because to him, life was always worth celebrating. So this isn't goodbye, it's just see you later, and I'm sure when I do, you'll be waiting with a bad joke, a shoulder dance celebration, and you'll probably have a Mr. Bean episode running in the background. Thank you.
Thanks, Shona. Dave van Rensburg.
Good morning. Those that don't know me, I'm Dave. I'm Tony's brother-in-law, Debbie's brother, and obviously Uncle. Can you imagine, Boss? I haven't seen you in a long time, man. You're looking good still. So, yeah, same problem. All right. I just got a couple of words I'd like to say about Tony. Today we gather to honor and celebrate the life of a truly remarkable man. A loving father, proud grandfather, a devoted brother, loyal friend, to many of us here, a true brother in every sense of the word. Tony leaves behind a legacy of love that lives on through his children, Garth and Jackie, their partners Louise, Marek, Debbie, and through Shana, Royden, Tennille, and Chase and Charisse. His spirit continues to shine through his beloved grandchildren, Kason, Dylan, Max, Tate, Trey, Tide, Brooklyn, Adam, Keegan, and Tyler. Each one a testament to the life that he built and the life that he shared so freely. And if I've missed anybody, I apologize. He's also deeply mourned by Sister Nalene, Roy, and Bianca and his nephew Marcus and Dorian, and their children Jack, Mark, and Tyron, and as well as countless other friends and extended family whose lives were made richer by simply just knowing him. Last Saturday, with a bottle of vodka, by the way, I opened a box of photographs that I received from my mother when she passed almost maybe even longer than 9 years ago. I haven't had the courage to open that box, but I did after many years, and I sorted through. They're all memories. That's all. They're not photographs, and some were that person, some were that person, and I came across pictures of a young Tony, and I felt myself in absolute tears, but not tears of sadness alone. They were tears of gratitude, a life that you can see was absolutely well lived. One thing became absolutely clear to me as I looked through those images. From the very first day that I met Tony to the last time I saw him, he was always smiling. It's like his face didn't know how not to smile. That infectious laugh of his, you could hear from across the room, and it had a way of lifting everybody around you. And it was around him, sorry. Even through his darkest and most difficult times, Tony found a reason to laugh. He found a reason to smile. That is the person who he was. And quite frankly, that was the gift that he gave to all of us. I also had the privilege of being a business partner of Tony's along with Eric. It was there that I witnessed firsthand his relentless drive for perfection, his endless curiosity, and his determination to push beyond boundaries. I remember when Tony was running Cisco Wire, and he called me, excited as ever, to show me a solar geyser that he had monitored remotely. This was a long time ago. Today that might seem a commonplace thing, solar geysers, but back then, Tony was one of the pioneers, the first people in South Africa to embrace that technology. And he wasn't satisfied with the way it worked. No, it came from the manufacturer, he put it on the roof and he started changing everything that he started creating his own little monster there. That's the way he was, constantly wanting to improve what other people had done. He was ahead of his time, always innovating. I haven't got it in here, but I remember one of our many talks we had, he had told me, and I don't have an opportunity to see it, but he told me he had taken a little Pasola, a little scooter, and he had made it run on water. I don't know if I wish I had seen it, but he said he would ride this thing up and down where he stayed out there on the East Coast, and it didn't run on fuel, it ran on water, and he made that. I remember he created a backpack that carried it was a refrigerated backpack that was made to carry blood for people in war zones. That's a long time ago. And most recently I was sent a video of Panolino Jackie with the shed that he had built. He had we spoke every week, and he would tell me he's building the shed. And I didn't realize, I just thought it was 4 poles and a bit of maybe some roofing or something on there. But when I saw the video, when you look from the left to the right, everything has just got its place and it's packed neatly. And I thought, but how does this get done so fast? By one man, by himself. It was amazing to see the attention to detail. Tony was one of those rare people you could just call any time to have a chat. And in fact, not being able to call him last week like I normally do was very difficult for me. Because you automatically just got something to share and you pick up the phone and you realize he's not there. It's very difficult. He wanted you to share his problems, and he used to share his problems with me, and we'd discuss things. We both looked for advice from between each other, or just simply to hear a familiar voice and a reassuring laugh. The Thursday before his passing, we had spoken for quite a while. I remember I sat in the car in the parking lot because we got into such deep discussion and I needed to focus on the call. And once again, we were busy planning a new opportunity for the new year. Full of ideas, full of hope, full of life. That was Tony. Always looking forward, always building, always dreaming. I speak for all of us when I say that our lives are better for having known Tony Breedt, without a doubt. And yes, our lives will feel emptier without him. But we all knew Tony, and we know exactly what he would say right now. This is my opinion. He would want us to stand here. He would not want us to stand here in sorrow. He would want us to cherish the special times we shared together. He would want us to remember the laughter and not dwell on the tears. He would want us to definitely raise a glass and have it up on him. And to celebrate life, celebrate his life, that he lived fully and generously and joyfully. Tony, you were more than a friend to me. You were my brother. We love you. We will miss you. And we will carry you with us until we meet again. Rest in peace.
Thanks, Dave. Before I go on to the next story, a number of tributes have come in, which I would just like to read. Tony, you were an uncle, father figure, and also a friend. When I moved to Ganubia as a young child who just lost my own father, you took me in as one of your own kids. You allowed me to be part of your family. I remember the day you took Garth, Jackie, and myself camping in the rain, and we were all stuck in a small 2-man tent. The days you included me when we went boating on the Nahoon Dam. When we went to watch the 4x4 events, taking me to the semi-final of the 1995 World Cup in Durban, where it poured with rain. You also taught me so many life skills, which I've taken with me into my adult years. I'm so glad we were able to spend so many years together, and even working together when I moved back to East London. You opened opportunities for me, for which I'm truly grateful. I'm so sorry I can't be here on this sad day, but I found comfort in myself that Dory and I were with you the evening of your passing. This has and will not be easy losing you. You've left a huge gap in my life, but I will continue to remember all those good times. You will truly be missed by my family, your sister, and your family. Love you, Tony, and will always miss you. But now you are with all our family in heaven. Marcus. Today we honor a man who brought an extraordinary amount of light into the world. My uncle. Although he and I didn't share traditionally close relationships, the moments we had together meant more to me than words can express. Whenever we spent time together, you had this incredible way of making me feel truly seen, welcomed and loved. You made me feel like a daughter to you, even though you already had a full house of children who adored you deeply. And still somehow you found room in your heart for me too. My uncle was an amazing father, one of the best I've ever witnessed. The way he showed up for his children, the way he loved them with patience, joy and consistency was something rare and beautiful. But that love didn't stop with his kids. He shared it freely with everyone around him. Once again, he had a laugh. Oh, that laugh. It was loud, contagious, and full of life. It could lift your spirit on even the heaviest of days. His joy was effortless and honest, the kind that came from a heart untouched by bitterness, no matter what life threw at him. He had a way of brushing off life's challenges, choosing happiness every single time. He was patient, he was kind, he was steady, and he was warm. His hugs were the kind you never forget. To me, he was a bundle of light wrapped in a human form. I will miss him deeply, more than I ever expected, but I find comfort in knowing that this goodbye is only temporary. One day, I believe we will meet again in heaven, and all the love, laughter, and warmth he brought into our lives will greet us once more. Until that day comes, I will carry him with me in the memories we shared, in the laughter he inspired, and in the love he showed me without hesitation. Thank you, Uncle Tony, for every moment, every hug, every smile. I will miss you so much. Bianca from Holland. Tony, my younger brother, in parentheses. I met you through your sister Nolene and brother Peter. We went to the same school in Fort Beaufort, you in kindergarten and me in high school. Although 10 years in age difference, we became great friends, and I was taken into your family as another son and dear friend. I was allowed to share and enjoy your family activities. Back to school road trips for Peter and Noel to go to boarding school in Graaff-Reinet, fishing trips to Cape St. Francis and Chilumna. Back home, we had many cycling trips together. You on your little number 24 bike and me on a big 28. Exploring Fort Beaufort, crossing the Cat River. over the daunting swing bridge. Oh, what fun we had. Me teaching you how to smoke. I will always remember your kindness, your inquisitiveness, your zest for life, always on the go, every moment of life, a new challenge to overcome. You were such a blessing in my life, a true, sincere friend. I feel eternally grateful to have known you and to have been able to share a part of your young, informative life with you. Rest in peace, Tony. Andre, his nickname was Gordy. I'm so sorry about Tony. Nolene, I have so many memories about him and his missing fingers, his kidney problems, and how he always took cannabis oil. I am devastated. My dearest Tony, I loved you dearly. Will miss you so much. Love, Auntie Rini Dumo. Dear Nolene, thank you so much for sharing this very sad news as it is. Tony was one of my groomsmen at my first wedding, and we were close during my early days in Johannesburg. I have fond memories of the Yamaha Scrambler he sold me. I wonder what condition that Yamaha was in. I have only good memories of Tony and regret that we did not keep in touch as we got older, but feel privileged to have known him. We were exactly one day apart in age. I was born on the 17th of October 1959. So maybe that's why he was one of the few people I know who really got me. My love to you and all his loved ones. Look forward to catching up with Tony on the other side. Best regards, Alec Hogg. I'm sure you see him all over TV at the moment, doing biz news and etc. And now I'd like to call upon Les Fenn.
I met Tony, strangely enough, on the Saturday, the 15th of October, 1984. Long time ago. A friend of mine invited me to a house party in Tony's house. I think it was number 37, 3rd Street, if I remember correctly. And arrived there not knowing that it was Tony's birthday the next day on the 16th. At the time Tony was 25 and I was 23. We became instant friends. It was a connection that you very seldom have in life. Tony was a husband, a father, a grandfather, a family man, a gentleman, an animal lover of note. He would take in any stray. He just lived for animals. And last at least, and not least, he was a true friend. I believe there are two types of people in the world. The first one being one that you would want in the trenches during a war, and the second one who you would be able to take with you to go and have tea with the Queen. It's very, very seldom in life that you find a person that has both those qualities. Tony had both. Believe me, he could clean himself up a bit from being in his workshop, and you could take him to tea with the Queen. Tony was an ambitious person, very ambitious. And and an absolute engineering brain of note, as Dave and everybody else has testified to. He was the production manager of, he started out as a production manager at 25 years old in the Defy factory that opened in East London. And he was extremely proud. He developed the first side-by-side fridge freezer for Defy. And I saw the basic model of it. He always said to me, Brother Fenn, there's always a solution to a problem, no matter how big or how small it is. Tony and Debbie are my daughter Kiara's godparents. And when I phoned Tony on his birthday this year on the 16th, I had some additional news for him. My daughter had given birth to our first grandchild on his birthday. I remember still saying, Tony, are you there? There was a moment of silence. And he just said to me, Brother, on my birthday, what a blessing. Now you have grown up and you've become part of the grandparent club. New responsibilities. I remember very fondly Tony's parents, Jack and Maud. When Tony told me all about his dad and his love for the outdoors as well. When they announced they were moving to Ganubi, they bought a house in 4th Street. Tony and I were there to help them unpack. And Maud used to phone, or Omi used to phone, he'd say, Les, Omi's phone, she needs something moved. And we'd get there and we'd say, where's Jack? And she'd say, fishing. Where else would he be? Like father, like son. Tony's love for the outdoors was really extraordinary. We alluded to, Nolene, you alluded to it earlier. One of his favorite places was Mpami. We used to go there quite a bit. And myself, Chris, the late Ellen Holder, and Tony. And Tony spent a lot more time there than we did. And the locals had a name for him, Seven, with a Z. And I didn't pick up on it first, but he just said, Brother Fenn, how many fingers do I have? So obviously, all in stitches of laughter. We had a WhatsApp group over the years between Chris, myself, and Tony. And we used to share a lot of jovial stuff on there, as well as the sad times and the happy times. And there are numerous messages. So to pick one out, I thought this was quite apt, just in the relationship that we had, which he sent on the 15th of March this year. And it goes as such. For you, my brothers, a real man is the kind of man that when your feet hit the ground each morning, the devil says, excuse my language, oh crap, he's up. Brothers, life is too short to wake up with regrets. So love the people who treat you right. Forgive the ones who don't, just because you can. Believe everything happens for a reason. If you get a second chance, grab it with both hands. If it changes your life, let it. take a few minutes to think before you act. When you're mad, really forgive quickly. God never said life would be easy. He just promised it would be worth it. To the men that have touched my life, here's to you. A brother walks with you when the rest of the world walks on you. Happy Brothers' Day. In my closing thoughts and prayers are with the family, the friends, and all the people online who have joined. My wife, Kerry, and my children cannot be here today. They're scattered around as well. They are online. And to all the other people around the world that are listening. As we are here celebrating a truly remarkable man, Chris and I had to clean up this morning. We're out at Marsh Strand. There's normally 14 of us, and we go fishing, and we range from 20 years old up to over 80. Tony loved the fishing club. He was going to be with us there this weekend. So there were a good couple of drinks that flowed last night and stories that were told around the fire. And that'll happen again tonight. They are all with us. Cannot all be here, but their hearts and souls are with us and prayers. Lastly, Brother Breedt, rest in peace till we meet again. Love you lots, brother.
Go on.
Sorry, Nadine, there's just one last thing. Dave, I did get to see the scooter when I fetched him for the last outing. He wanted me to get on it, but he did say to me, and I sat on it, and take these 2 filters at the back. And he said, there's a bit of a charging problem. I'm not sure where you're going to end up. I said, well, you ended up with the tractor in the dirt. I said, I'm not kidding. I did see it. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, is it a bit loud? It's my son Dylan here with me. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the life of my dad, Tony Breedt. Seeing so many faces from different parts of his life just shows how much he meant to everyone here. We are all deeply saddened, but are also immensely grateful for the time we had with him. It's impossible to capture a life as full as his in a few minutes, but I want to share a few words about the man we loved and the quiet, steady lessons he taught us. Dad was always happiest when he was connected to the natural world. He didn't just love fishing, he found peace in its silence. But his deepest joy was mixing that love of nature with family adventure. I truly believe as a child he looked forward to our school holidays more than we did as kids. It meant loading up the 4x4, heading to a game reserve, be it Etosha, Zimbabwe, or anywhere in between. Frankly, the adventure usually began before we even left the house, thanks to whichever unreliable 4x4 we had at the time. If the car wasn't broken, Dad probably felt cheated of a proper family holiday problem to solve. He taught us to look for the beauty in nature, whether it was spotting a family of elephants, watching a lion on the horizon, or the quiet patience of tracking a rhino. He taught us to look up too. I remember clear nights looking up at the sky and watching the stars with him as he pointed out the constellations. He saw the vastness of the stars and the quiet majesty of the bush, and he loved it all equally. If he had a problem, Dad was the first call he made. He loved a challenge, whether it was a leaky tap, a broken engine, or just a complicated life decision. He just wasn't satisfied until he had a plan. He was the ultimate fixer. He taught us that with a little patience and a lot of focus, anything could be mended, and any confusing situation could be simplified. But what defined him most was how he treated people. Dad had a rare quality. He never judged. He was a calm, constant source of support. He didn't tell you what to do. He just offered a question or the perfect piece of guidance that would help allow you to figure it out for yourself. He was always willing to help, asking nothing in return. And that quality, that pure willingness to see the best in others, is the most enduring gift that he left us. While the pain of losing him is immense, we find comfort in knowing that a piece of his quiet wisdom, his curiosity for the world, and his willingness to help lives on in each of us. We will miss his gentle guidance, his patient hands, and the certainty of his love. As they say in Ireland, he was some man for one man, and I'm so proud that he was my dad. Thank you, Dad. We love you and we'll miss you every single day. Thank you.
Oh, what have we got here? Okay.
I'm going to try.
Shit, it just doesn't feel real, does it? I spent quite a bit of my adult life living overseas, or up in Johannesburg, and I always looked forward so much to coming on to East London over the December holidays and spending time with the family here and catching up with friends and just being here. I'm expecting him to be here or to go to the house and give him a call and yeah, it's just it's really hard to come to terms with. I don't know if you noticed, Nadine has taken one of the plants from the house. In recent times, my dad started smoking marijuana. It's his claim was when he was taking the CBD oil, it really helped with these cancer treatments. And yeah, obviously CBD oil is quite expensive to come by, so just chose the easier option and started smoking it instead. I'm incredibly grateful and proud to call Tony my father. We had a very special bond. He shared so much with me about himself and his life, sometimes whether I wanted the life lesson in that moment or not. But those lessons stayed with me. There were the practical ones: how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, how to change a CV joint, a skill he insisted every responsible person should have. And then you have the deeper lessons: know who your true friends are, count on people wisely, always look for a solution, and most of all, never give up trying. I have memories with my dad and my family from every season of my life. When I was young, every school holiday meant another adventure on a different game farm. That's where I learned to drive, long before I probably should have. But hey, Dad had absolute faith in me and in Garth, actually. That's where we both learned how to drive, is on the dirt roads. Most weekends, we had all the family and friends at our place, with my dad's giant speakers pumping music, everyone dancing and laughing. He loved his music. The louder, the better.
At one point, we had an American Ford Bronco, and he installed what he proudly called a boombox in the boot, which took up basically the whole boot space. So you couldn't put anything else in there. And everyone would hear this huge car before they ever saw it. This is doof doof music echoing down the road. I tried to spend every December holiday at my dad's. He always gave me the space I needed to do my own thing, but he loved that I came home every morning and evening, and we would sit and talk and share stories as if no time had passed. I recently learned that when he spoke about me to others, he referred to me as my Jackie. That one small detail tells me everything about the tenderness beneath his tough exterior. When Marek, my husband, first met my dad, he thought he was this hardcore rugby Dutchman. But once he got to know him, he discovered what we all knew. My dad was gentle, kind, and incredibly loving. He had a softness that didn't always match the first impression, but it was there, and it was very real. I'm not sure everyone knows this about me. I'm not a big hugger. I only hug very special people in my life. But my dad, he gave the best hugs. The kind that made you feel safe even when life felt chaotic. The kind that said everything he didn't always have the words for. Through my dad, I learned what stoicism was long before I ever knew the word. He handled life's challenges, and there were many, with a steady resilience. He would always look for the best outcome, the way forward, and the next step. And just when things felt heavy, he'd change the subject or end with a joke, and suddenly we'd all be laughing again. I spent a lot of my adult life living overseas or in a different city, so we spoke on the phone a lot. Lately, I had the privilege of speaking with him every 2 or 3 days. I only wish I could have one more call, one more story, one more lesson, one more laugh. Dad was an inspiring person, not because he was perfect, but because he was real. He loved deeply, he gave generously, he tried endlessly, and he cared in a way that stayed with you long after you left his presence. Life will never be the same without him. He has left a massive void in my world and in our world. But Dad, I hope you know this. Everything you taught me, everything you poured into me, everything you were, I carry it with me. I carry you with me. Rest peacefully now, and I love you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. You're a hard one to follow.
Sorry.
So for those who don't know me, I am Tony. I'm Nolene, the last of the siblings, Tony's eldest sister. There was an eight years age gap between Tony and I. Tony was my baby brother, even though he was an adult. As a child, I felt blessed to have what I used to think was a real live doll. But this real live doll certainly was a doll of a difference. From the moment he got onto those little legs, all that changed. Tony was a pure harum-scarum from the start. He was blessed with an endlessly inquisitive mind. As a child, he was never satisfied with the toy simply working. If it did work, he had to break it. If it was electrical, he had to take it apart, just so that he could put it together again. And most of the time, he didn't just fix it, he improved it. His toys often ended up better than when he first received them. You can imagine my father's horror when all of this happened on the 26th of December, and he only got the toy on the 25th of December. There are countless stories I could share about my little brother, but most importantly, there's so much about his character, his curiosity, his creativity, his spirit that deserves to be remembered. Today we are here to celebrate and honor his life. Tony, a man of extraordinary resilience, fierce independence, and a spirit that refused to be defeated by anything life placed in his path. Tony's life was marked by challenge, yes, but even more so by the remarkable way he faced those challenges. You heard earlier, as a schoolboy, he survived an accident that cost him 3.5 of a fourth finger on his left hand. It all actually started at Pietermaritzburg College, for those who don't know. We stole gunpowder from the science lab with 3 boys and succeeded in blowing a 100-year-old oak tree out the ground. But what could have been the end of so many dreams became for Tony simply another obstacle to rise above. And rise above he did. When he lost his fingers, they grafted it to his stomach so that they could make that rounded part on his hand. Tony went on to telling everyone that the gaping hole in his stomach was caused by a shark attack. He also went on to traveling to schools afterwards, telling the boys of his experience and begging boys not to do the same thing that he did. Despite what others might call a disability, Tony could fix absolutely anything. His hands, reshaped but unstoppable, worked with a natural genius. Whether it was an engine, a piece of machinery, or something broken that others had given up on, Tony always found a way to bring it back to life. His gift was unique, instinctive, and deeply admired. And I saw this the last 2 days packing up at his house. The things that he'd put together, I think that any man in this room would have put in a tip long time ago, but it was working. But perhaps the greatest measure of Tony's spirit came in December 2013, when he received a devastating diagnosis, terminal cancer. With only 3 months to live, Tony, in his unmistakable way, refused to let fear dictate his final chapter. He had watched our own father suffer through treatment, and he made a brave, deeply personal choice. No treatment, no hospitals, no surrender to suffering. Instead, he chose to live. So, what did Tony do? Well, he set out to complete his bucket list. He flew to Australia to see Jackie, not telling her why he was there, embracing family and adventure with the time he had been given. He went to the Kalahari Game Reserve, a place of vast skies and quiet strength, much like him. Then he returned home to East London and continued living his life with dignity, courage, and unwavering will. Right up until his very last day, Tony remained Tony, present, determined, and unbroken. You've heard about his laugh. It wasn't just loud, it was alive. It rolled out of him with a contagious ease, the kind of sound that wrapped itself around a room and fitted every spirit in it. Even on the heaviest of days, his laughter could break through the gloom like sunlight through clouds. His joy was effortless and honest, a rare kind of happiness that came from a heart untouched by bitterness. And he had lots of reason to be bitter, no matter what life put in his path. He met challenges with a shrug and a smile, brushing off life's knocks as though they were nothing more than passing moments. He chose joy again and again, every single time, and in doing so, he taught the rest of us how to find it too. Though his journey was not an easy one, it was undeniably his own. He lived with purpose, on his terms, with the same resilience that defined him from the beginning. His life teaches us that bravery isn't about avoiding hardship, but about facing it with clarity, honesty, and heart. Tony leaves behind a legacy of strength, ingenuity, and an inspiring refusal to be defined by circumstance. I will remember his courage, his sharp mind, his humor, and the quiet yet powerful way he moved through the world. Tony, you lived bravely. You lived fully. Your children, Jackie and Garth and their families, your stepchildren, Tennille, Shayna, Cherise, and their children, and your animals was what meant the most to you, and you are loved beyond words. May you rest in peace, Tony, and may the example you set continue to guide us in how we face our own challenges, with determination, with resilience, and with the unbreakable spirit you carried so well. Tony, we little knew that morning that God was going to call your name. In life we loved you dearly, in death we do the same. It broke our hearts to lose you. You did not go alone, for part of us went with you the day God called you home. You left us peacefully memories. Your love is still our guide, and though we cannot see you, you're always at our side. Our family chain is broken, and nothing seems the same. But as God calls us one by one, the chain will link again. Thank you. So that's the end. Please join us for tea and coffee, and there's some snacks at the back. There is a cash bar, and we're hoping, and I'll leave that to the children to decide, to go and scatter Tony's ashes down at Black Rock, which was his last wish, to be scattered with our mother. You're welcome to join us, but let's have some tea and coffee and see what the weather does. But thank you all so much for coming. It truly means a lot to the family, the immediate family, and extended family. And I know Tony's waiting for all of us, and the party will continue. Thank you.
fire.